I wonder which set of TeePee poles I should grab. Let's see. The top set are the longs, and those will only fit in a van. These are the shorts. You know, I might be able to get those to fit in a Mountaineer, or possibly tie on the top. I'd rather put them on the inside. This should be interesting. Well, they kind of fit. Not the safest mode of transport, but they're in there, and luckily I don't have to go too far. So we should be okay. Well, we made it home without no incidents. I did tie it up here to the grab handle, just in case. All right, let's get these guys around back. Howdy ho, friends. Welcome to Linseeding my TeePee poles. Yep, it's that time of the year to get them ready for the camping season, if we have one. Anyway, I brought all the poles home from storage, and I grabbed some old 4x4s and concrete blocks and just spread them out a little bit. Before we get started, I'm going to call your attention to a couple items on the poles. We've got this black mark from the bottom that goes up here to about 3 inches. Up from that, we got another little black line, and all the way at the top, we have another black mark, and this one looks like it's about 1 foot long. The top black mark is where I tie the poles together, and then we attach the top of the TeePee cover to that. And if we come all the way down here to the bottom black mark, this is the air gap I need for the cover. So the TeePee cover has to stop there and stop at the top of the poles. Halfway up the pole, well, a quarter of the way up, you have this other black mark right here. That's where the liner goes in. So the liner goes on the inside like so, all the way down. TeePee cover comes up here to the top, and then you have a nice little air gap for the air to flow through and go up to the top of the TeePee, which helps with condensation, heating, and cooling. Now what we need to do is we need to sand these down. They're kind of raw. They've never been treated before. So I need to get all these rough edges off, like this here and that there, smooth them out. And whoop, look at the crack in this sucker. It didn't dry right. And the reason for that is so when the water leaks into the top of the poles, it drips all the way down and goes in between the two covers. If you have, let's say, let's find something that's really bad. Oh, this will work. If you have something like this sticking up, the water will collect and drip off and go straight down into the TeePee, and we want to avoid that. For this project, we're going to be using a 150 grit sandpaper. I really wanted to go with the 100 grit, but since we can't go into town, I got to use what I got laying around the shop, so no big deal. A dust mask to keep everything out of our lungs. And look what kind of mask that is. I found a whole bunch of them in my paint shop. Anyway, and just this here finishing sander to speed the process up. And that's going to be the first step. So let's get started. This is where we are so far. I've got them all sanded down to my liking, and I started with the 150 sandpaper, and honestly it wasn't working out, friends. I was just going through it too fast, and it wasn't doing what I was wanting to do. So I went ahead and switched over to this is the 80, and it worked a lot better. And if you're doing this, you're probably going to go through about a sheet of 180, and probably 2.5 sheets of the 150. And if you were using 100, probably 2 sheets. Runtime on the sanding. Whoop, I'm in the shadows again. Hello. Runtime, it took me about an hour in real time, so that wasn't bad. So I reset the 4x4s because I'm really not going to put a lot of linseed oil on the black part, because I do want to respray those. And if I coat them with linseed oil, they're not going to be able to get sprayed. So the next thing on the agenda is I need to get the linseed oil out and get it prepped and to put on the poles. Here's the linseed oil we will be using. Now, a friend of mine's a painter, and he buys in bulk, so I bought this gallon container from him. But you can find it at any home outlet store. They probably even have it at Wally World. Quick heads up, be careful with this stuff. It is highly flammable. So if you get it on your rags or something like that, do not wad them up, throw them in the corner of your shop or in a box or in the trash, because when it dries, it creates heat and it can catch them on fire. I've personally never seen it happen. What I normally do is I just wash them out with water and let them sit out in the sun for a while and dry. Alright, I just stole this bowl from the kitchen. Hopefully I didn't get caught. Yeah, we need to shake this up a little bit. As you can tell, I've had this for a while. Alright, there we go. And of course, I don't really want this on my hands, so we're going to switch over to these sexy yellow gloves. There we go. Let's try not to get any on me. That should be enough for now. And I probably should go ahead and put the gloves on, because we are making a mess as usual. A quick tip before we get started: the outside temperature, or the temperature you apply this at, should be at least 65 degrees. I wouldn't do it over 90 either, because it'd evaporate real quick. And our current temperature here, believe it or not, is almost 80. Figure that one out. Alright, so we've got it nicely soaked up in our sponge here. And the goal is not to waste a lot of this, but I do want to put it on thick so it goes inside the holes or the cracks and the splits in the wood. And what you do is you put this on there, and you want to let it sit, I would say either from 2 to 10 minutes maybe, and then start wiping off the excess as it soaks in. That way it doesn't get all gummy and nasty, and you can tell by looking at it if it's starting to soak in. Okay, you can admit it. How many of you wanted to see the bowl of linseed oil spill? It's okay, no worries, it didn't. Anyway, the sun is actually cooperating with this. It is not in the sun anymore, so I don't have to worry about it drying uneven on me. I went very, and I mean very generous with the first coat. I mean, I just lathered it on. And anywhere there was a crack, such as this, and that right there, I just poured the linseed oil in it. Now, that's our first coat. I put it on heavy. I did in sets of 3. That way, one would dry, and then I'd wipe the rest and then get over to the other set. Now, we are going to let this dry for a good hour, or until it's not tacky or sticky anymore, which actually, it really soaked in there. Okay, so we're going to go for about a half hour on these poles just to make sure, but yeah, it's really soaked in. This wood's soaking it up really nicely. And we're going to apply our second coat, and then after that we'll let it dry and then see if it needs a third coat, but I won't go over a third coat on them. I might have got a little sidetracked. Okay, a lot of sidetracked. I broke the barbecue grill out and made some pork steaks for Jessica and I, along with some good old creamed corn. So this has been drying for a while, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's 100% dry. Oh, you can see down inside there. kind of see where I poured in the linseed oil. I need to do a little bit more right here inside the pole. I think we're going to put our last coat on, and it's going to be just as thick as the first coat to make sure I got everything covered. But I don't think we need any more than 2 coats, to be honest with you. This is already feeling pretty smooth. I am a little concerned. I'm hoping my linseed oil did not dry out. Yeah, it started to. Let's take a look. No, it's still good. We're still good. And, oh gosh, I got it all over me now. We're still good. Great. I'm gonna go wash that off real quick. I'm pretty sure 2 coats are going to do it. Basically, the first coat we put on soaked into the TeePee pole. The second coat kind of smoothed along the top, and that's really just to cover up any nicks or any holes or any spots we missed. What I'm going to do now is let these dry overnight. And tonight's temperature is going to be a low of 62, 30% humidity, hopefully no rain. And then we'll come back tomorrow and check on them and see how they look. But I'm pretty sure 2 coats are going to do it. And then, of course, I washed off the gloves, spread the towels out so they won't accidentally catch on fire, which personally I've never seen before. All right, friends, we'll see you tomorrow. Friends, I'm very happy with the way the TeePee poles came out. I do believe we do not need to put on another coat of linseed oil. They're nice and smooth, and heck, if I would have done a better job on them, they would have looked awesome. So I would say this video is done. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave that in the comment section. And at this point, you could go ahead and quit watching, but if you want to stick around, I'm going to go ahead and set the TeePee up, put the brand new cover on it. I'm thinking about doing a lockdown overnight here in the back portion of my house. You're more than welcome to watch that. And like always, friends, thanks for watching. For those of you that stuck around, thank you so much. And yes, I almost fell off the paint can twice. All right, so the ground here is very freaking uneven, as you can see, but I made the cover fit by pulling the poles down a little bit, so it is even. It would be even if the ground was level, and obviously it's not. And I used some of this yellow cordage, which is not good, to tie this line to the TeePee pole, because we're supposed to get some really nasty storms this afternoon, and I didn't want the wind to come underneath and lift it up and take the TeePee across over into the neighbor's yard, which would not be good. But we got her all nicely staked out. And Scout left me a couple presents back here I had to get rid of. The good thing about it, it's really hot today, friends. I mean, we're looking, that's kind of questionable. It's right now about 82 freaking degrees. We're setting a record here in the Midwest. And the good thing about all this heat, it's going to stretch out the wrinkles, which is going to be really cool. The only thing I got to keep an eye on, ooh, it's warm in here. So I got to make sure that doesn't rip out. And they're taut, but they're not to the point where they're going to start ripping the grommets out. And when I built this cover, I overdid it. So we got a backing here. I put it in a pancake, folded it in half, and I used real brass grommets. And I built this cover, at the end of summer last year. And it originally was going to have a stove in it. So I was going to put the stove right here, put the stove jack right there, but obviously that didn't work out. So I'm going to use it for my summer teepee cover now. But we still got a halfway decent gap all the way around. Not so much back there. But we could fix this by spreading the poles. Now remember that curved pole? This is one of them right here. This comes in real freaking handy, believe it or not. See the curve? Watch this. Now we use it to put tension on the teepee cover. So that's not a big deal, having a curved pole in your design. We can do the same thing with this one if I want. But yeah, all that linseed oil came through awesome, man. Look at that. Very nice. All right, friends, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to run inside and make me a nice little batch of sweet tea and cool down a little bit. Thanks a lot for sticking around. And until next time, friends, stay safe in these troubled times.